Hello and welcome to this split off channel from Parks with Points. So, in that channel, we look at roller coasters and theme parks and blogs and hit that sweet spot of that 80/20 where we try to leverage travel hacking without, for that better term, to enjoy the parks a little bit better, get a little more mileage out of your park visits. We're going to do the exact same thing for solar and EV cars. So in this channel, I just didn't want to bore my coaster folks with all of the solar stuff, especially for the property, because I don't think those two channels really overlap. So anyway, start I think for this kind of came from the EV car point of view, and then later deciding to grow my solar. So this would be coming into the project when I am moving from a smaller solar setup that's just for a subset of the property to increasing the size and walking you through all the costs and everything revolving around that. So I'll use the same core principles of the cost offsets for the solar piece, and I'll stick with the 80/20 and tell you some of the things I'm not doing, although I think they're going to be or it could be beneficial, but I'm not going to do them because I think they would take too much time, money, and frankly, work. So I will continue to do some of the EV stuff in the coaster channel, of course, because any road trip that involves EV will have a small layer of the EV stuff attached. So the why. Why am I doing solar? Well, the obvious thing is decreasing my carbon footprint. I'd say this has hit me more lately as I started driving an electric car. That when I go to theme parks, if they're running those old school like race carts, that like the 2 cycle carbon exhaust would bother me more, and I just think in general that's kind of like one of those uh, good things for the environment. Blah blah blah, warm and fuzzy, but the Illinois tax incentives for the Shine program are starting to tear down, so I wanted to make the investment before it drops to the next tier. Also, I think the tech has increased a lot. So, used to be that a solar panel only produced like 250 watts. Now you can get one that's almost double that in the same footprint or the same size. So the price per watt, if you want to buy it, has come increasingly down. And there are a lot more flexibility on voltage, where it used to be you'd have to really be careful that you had the exact inverter for your solar panel. Now you have a lot more flexibility. So this channel will get into a little bit on that topic when it gets to the tech side. And then, of course, the final one is the cost offset. So, as an example, right now with my EV car, I can pretty much drive it to quite a few theme parks and it doesn't cost me anything for gas. So, on the size, right now I have a small 3,000 watt inverter that powers a sub panel, and unfortunately, we have to turn that off to go to the big system. So we're moving from an off grid to an on grid. If you're following those things, so the reason I'm doing it from a size perspective is that inverter is too small, not flexible, and it doesn't count for any of the Illinois incentives. So subscribe to this channel if you want to follow me along my journey. I'm going to lay out all the costs along the way. I'm going to assume that I'm borrowing money for the system from my home equity line, even if I have paid cash for some of the items, because I want this to be an exact example of how much interest, what would be the investment, because I want to track the return on investment. So each month I'll show you my exact costs from my power bill, which is Ameren, Illinois. So, and I will track all the costs and changes to the system along the way. So if you find that interesting, like I said, please subscribe. So, and finally, I'll part with just the, pillars. Clearly, I'm not an electrician. You can read a little bit about solar, and there's not too many variables in there. And I've done some small maintenance work around electricity, so I am comfortable with it. Like I said before, Ameren, Illinois is my energy provider, and I use them for two two pieces, right? I buy electricity for them, and then they are also my provider that does the transportation of the electricity to the house. Those can actually be different now. And then the program that I'm involved in for Illinois is called Shine, so I have to stay within that program, which means that I'm limited to a 10K inverter on the main house, and that's the only system that can qualify for the Illinois incentives. And then when we get to the federal piece, I am able to add things additional to that system, and they do count for federal, but not for Illinois. So I'll go through all of those complications if you tune in. So a lot of exciting things to come.